Oh, he might be willing to do it because he's willing to offer Wikipedia $1 billion to change their name to Dikipedia.
That would be $1 billion really well spent. Because Wikipedia is an encyclopedia of lies. It is full of bullshit. It is full of propaganda. It is full of dishonesty. I can say this from my own knowledge of my particular sphere. There is so much misinformation put out on Wikipedia. If it's the case in a sphere I know about, I bet it's the case in every other sphere.
Do you know what they did with Andrew Huberman, who's a professor at Stanford?
No.
They didn't like something that he supported. I forget what it was. So they removed his research page. So all of his published research is no longer on his Wikipedia page, at least wasn't.
Typical.
And they locked it.
Typical.
Which is just insane. Like, you can't remove a man's distinguished scientific work because you don't agree with. I don't even remember what it was.
It's cancel culture.
But it's insane because you're dealing with a legitimate academic.
It's utter madness.
It's madness that this is the resource that people go to when they're trying to find objective information on things. And these people will remove published research from a distinguished scientist. Because of whatever stupid reason.
There's only one word for it, and that's censorship.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing you expect in the Soviet Union or in North Korea, but it's not the kind of thing you expect in so-called democratic Western civilization.
Not only that, but so-called democratic Western civilization on a website that's run by progressives.
Yeah.
Like, isn't being a progressive about an objective assessment of all the information and relaying it in a way that enriches the public's understanding of the subject, not lying or by lying by removing information.
Removing data.
It's
because
insane.
Basically saying that the attitude behind it is one of enormous hubris and pride.
Yes.
These people are saying the public aren't able to make up their own minds on things, so we'll make up their minds for them. It's so offensive and so wrong. And
I remember what it was about. It was about him saying on a post that he would look forward to either some sort of a public debate, or it was Robert Kennedy Jr. I hope that more candidates submit to doing long-term conversations.
Yes.
That he enjoyed it. Like, what would be controversial about having candidates submit to long-form conversations?
I think it should be. I think it should be compulsory.
Yeah.
I mean, electing somebody president of a big country like the United States is a huge and serious responsibility.
Right.
Let's subject that person to 3 hours of Joe Rogan.
Let's not.
Well, well, no, let's.
Well, in the case of Robert Kennedy Jr.
You're one of the few shows that does do these very extended 3-hour in-depth interviews. And I would like to see all political candidates put themselves up for that. These staged debates that happen between candidates are just rubbish, just pointless.
It's a terrible means of getting to the bottom of things and even getting to know a person. It's terrible because it's so performative, it's so rehearsed. Imagine if you went on a date with someone and you're on a date and you say to this person, so, what do you do for a living? And they have this like pre-made speech.
Talking points.
That they talk about in this very blustery way. And like, okay, you're out of time. You have 30 seconds left, and you tell that to them, and then they're done. And you can't stop them. You can't, oh, that's interesting. How'd you get involved in that? Like, it's not a conversation. You don't know that person. Exactly. You just know this speech that they've given.
Exactly.
And that's the surface level sort of understanding that we have.
It's mere posturing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to look like a debate.
Well, it's also the fact that the format itself is such a terrible way to have long-form discussions. You have a time limit for each person. You have to cut for commercials. You're doing it in front of a live audience, which is very performative in the first place. Like, who gets the cheers and who gets the laughs, like they win, and they're dunking on each other. It's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous way. But I don't want to talk to them. I talked to Kennedy because I know that there's this narrative that he's a kook and he's an anti-vaxxer, and none of those things are true. And I wanted him to explain himself. And he said that was the first time in 18 years of talking about this stuff that someone has actually just let him talk.
Yeah.
And no one's jumped in because people are, if you're on a network and someone starts talking about vaccine safety and the issues with certain ingredients in vaccines. People are like, hit the brakes. This has been refuted. What you're saying is not true. The FDA says this and that and this, and they have to. They have to jump in. The executives will be in their ear. The producers will be in their ear. Jump in.
Yeah.
They'll put up things that stop them. Like, let the guy talk. Let's at the end of what he says, then ask him, how did you come to these conclusions?
Yeah.
Have you ever steel-manned the opposing positions? Are there times where you've questioned what you believe?
Yeah.
You know, have you been vaccinated yourself? You know, what do we know about these peer-reviewed studies? What do we know about the way they're allowed to access information?
Yeah.
What do we know about the vested interest, financial vested interests involved in pursuing a very specific narrative? And has there been resistance to all these other points?
These are the questions that need to be asked.
These are interesting questions. And the fact that Huberman was censored because he thought it was a good idea that more people have long-form discussions is madness.
What are they afraid of?
What are you afraid? And how could you get that kind of compliance with a supposedly progressive website to step in and censor someone over something not just benign, but seemingly very useful?
But positive,
Yeah. I mean,
it's another sign of the mess that we live in today. And unfortunately, Wikipedia is the first port of call for anybody who wants some quick information on a subject. And because it's got the word pedia after it, they may think it's an authentic encyclopedia. It's not. It's an engine for promoting particular points of view.
And that's very unfortunate because I don't think it started off as that.
No, I don't think it did either. It's something. It's been captured.
Yeah.
It's been captured. I know for a fact that my Wikipedia page, which announces that I'm a pseudoscientist and promote pseudoscientific ideas, that my Wikipedia page has been captured by a group of people who have been intensely critical of me since the 1990s. So that cannot be an encyclopedia. That cannot be a fair and unbiased position. That's representing the position of a particular small group of people.
And I think, unfortunately for them, that knowledge, that understanding is out there with a great number of people. And people don't trust it the way they used to trust it.
No.
They used to trust it as this objective, sort of crowdsourced, information hub where you could find all sorts of really interesting.
It was a beautiful idea.
Yeah, it's a beautiful idea. But like any idea that has too much power and control like that, like Wikipedia does, like they just capture it. And they just say, okay, well, we'll just use this to promote a very specific narrative and fuck the truth. And that idea of fuck the truth, that's bad for everybody. That's bad for them. That's bad for everybody.
Very bad.
Hey, woman, since your man ain't got no heart, why don't you go in my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man.
There you go.
What? Fuck you. Hey, woman, since your man ain't got no heart, why don't you go in my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man.
There you go.
What? Fuck you.